So, I guess identity for me would, dealing with my past and whatnot. I never really exactly knew where I fit in, and growing up with between my mom, my dad, and my grandmother, they dressed me differently, and of course I wasn't really aware of what the social norms and conformity were at the time in the 90s. So like with my mom, she'd let me wear whatever I want. I could look like, I don't know, a homeless kid, but my mom let me be who I was. And my dad would dress me like a little boy. And then my grandmother would dress me like a little girl. And so as I grew older, that started to really, make its way into my personality, and I don't know if you want to call it style. And I'd have my days where I dress feminine, and I'd have my days where I dress like a little masculine, and then I'd have my days where I look like, as mentioned previously, a homeless kid. But that was just the surface of identity for me. It really became serious when I started questioning my orientation, and then I wondered if androgyny was even a thing. If it was possible to look like a guy but still be a girl, or I don't know. And like at one point, I remember when I was in Connecticut and I was dressed up as a little boy, and there were these girls that were across from me, the house across, and they were saying to each other, well, I wonder, is that a boy? Is that a boy? And for some weird reason, I had some sort of joy out of it because I was able to pass as a boy. But that being said, I guess, I don't know really. It's still a tricky subject for me to talk about today, and I don't even know why I chose this as a topic, maybe because it's close to home. And now, it's funny because I find myself in, I wouldn't call it the fabulous part of town, but I find myself living near Christopher Street in the West Village. And the funny thing is, that's where my mom used to take me when I was a child. So I was already, subjected to this culture before I even had an idea of what the hell it was. And now I find myself a decade later, maybe a decade and some change, living here and being amongst them and identifying with them and orientation and being of the lesbian and the bisexual, gay, transgender, queer community. I think I said that right. And it's, I don't know, I still find it hard sometimes to embrace who I am, and I still wonder what's my style, who am I as a person, what's my interest, and then sometimes I realize it's okay to be like that. But, of course later on in the video, well, I mean, all I can say really is that my upbringing had a big influence as to growing up and self-identifying with everything. I didn't think it would go and permeate to other aspects of my life. I thought maybe it was just what I wear. But, I realize sometimes I do have a harder chance at getting a job as opposed to, I don't know, a much more feminine girl. I don't really have exactly the softest of faces because it meshes so well with, looking like a little boy and then looking like a woman, whatever. I guess that's it for me, identifying, And the weird thing is, when I came out to my family, they weren't surprised. They said to us, oh, well, we're not surprised, Jayla. That was my nickname. That is my nickname. But, we saw it coming. You were always into sports and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. But, that's that. And of course, I got this idea from the TED Talks video that we had, and I asked, our professor, and he said it was right. So, that's that for